I am the rook, you are the fire, and I burn like a book. Don't know how this one ends till I die, and the honest part of reliable is the lie. The greater the power, the more the abuse. You are the hand, I worship the bruise. If romance is dead, I guess I'm a necrophiliac. But every god needs a sacrifice. I am the cross and you are the Christ. So I drink.
Nobody comes for the authors. Nobody gives a shit about the authors. Oh, beep beep, kids.
Oh,
Beep, beep.
everyone gives a shit.
Nobody gives a
Poop
shit.
on you, Christina. Poop on you.
Just spit in my mouth and call me.
Spit in my mouth and call me a creamy twat. Okay, wow. All right, we got to backtrack here.
We're on it. We're on it. Watch the bloopers
Jay
for
Wilburn
season 2.
in our live was like, my favorite part is when Marian laughs so hard her microphone cuts out. I'm like, you just got one in less than 20 seconds of episode.
Right. We're in. We're in. We're ready. This is episode 2, season 2. We're in it to win it.
Emergent shit.
She is.
Talking about
She is.
vaginal discharge, not mine or hers. We were having a conversation.
No, that'll probably be on some blog post.
It's not about either of us. We swear.
Hey, who's on today? Who's on today?
Oh my God. It is the return of our boy, our child, our son.
I'm not that old. I'm
I
from
am.
Southern Illinois, but I'm not that Southern Illinois. You know what I mean?
I'm 42. I can be this kid's mother.
I'm 40 now. I'm gonna be 41.
Well, I could be. It's Chandler Morrison.
It is. So exciting. So exciting. And I only had
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I kept waking up in panic attacks. That's how I was waking myself up. And I was like, oh, here comes another one. And then I just talked myself out of it and went back to sleep. And then maybe 3 hours of sleep, but a lot of coffee. So I'm on it today.
Here's how my brain prepared for this. Last night, I had a dream that the roof and the exterior wall of my kitchen fell off. And my house was exposed. Dream analysis out there. Have a field day.
So maybe it's talking about your creamy, I don't know, because it's going to be exposed with the kid.
Look, how dare you?
I don't know.
How dare you?
We're talking about vaginas today, people. We're moving on to poor Chandler. He's gonna watch this and be like, what the fuck do I get myself into? Because he was excited. He was excited to come back. He wanted to come back.
I know, he basically invited himself.
Which is totally fine. If you're Chandler Morrison, you can. You tell us when you want to come on. Everyone else, we're going to schedule you. But Chandler Morrison, no. You go, when? We'll go, when would you like to come back? When?
Now, there's a reason for that, too. He's our fancy pants man. But at the same time, he will actually engage in nerdy literature discourse with us.
Yes.
Which is kind of fun because it lets us stretch our brains beyond just me and you.
It also lets us showcase, we're not just extreme horror. We do know a little bit more about other stuff too. Me, not so much. Ask me how Percy Shelley died and I could tell you all day long. Tell me how many wives Ted Hughes lost. I can tell you that. But I'm not.
That's because Ted Hughes was a fucking asshole.
Well, I always think that his dick was small. That's why Sylvia Plath offed herself and the next wife offed herself in the exact same oven.
That was probably just one factor in the huge Ted Hughes asshole conglomeration that was Ted Hughes.
They were probably when they met him, they were like, "Ooh, he's got big dick energy," and then when they met him,
handsome.
And then no,
he was
Ted
very,
Hughes.
He was very Ken, and his
should be a red flag right there. If you're a 10 out of 10, if you're a 10 out of 10, red flag.
You know who
are
else?
going to ruin my life.
Yeah, you know who else was very much a Ken? Paul Bernardo.
There were some that were like Hemingway was pretty hot, you know.
Yeah,
and that,
in his
scruffy
sea captain-y way.
Yeah, like I'm gonna
his,
beat you.
Depressed, nihilistic. The world is awful. I might as
Like,
well just end it all.
I can save
I'm gonna be drunk all the time, kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This went off the rails, everyone. This went off the rails. This went off the rails since I told Marian I don't like the T word.
And that was before we even started.
It was.
Well, you know what? I'm not even going to try to give any bullshit bio info on Chandler Morrison because this is his second time here, and y'all know who this man's is. I mean, he wrote Dead Inside. You all know that. Everybody knows that. If you don't,
then you're living under a rock.
Yeah, who the fuck are you?
We can't help
Where
you.
the hell
we can't help you.
Along the path of torment, just to see how human shape burns.
Hate to Feel.
Others. Oh, Hate to Feel.
And he's been in a lot of anthologies.
Yeah, he's pretty prolific for a child.
Right. With a bedtime of 9 o'clock. We're just teasing. He's not really a child. He's like a grown-ass man.
That wears designer sunglasses and smokes cigarettes.
He's like too close for school. That's the problem. He's like the cool kid. And we're like the two nerds that have the books and our nerd glasses and the fucking trombone, you know? That's us.
This one time, band camp.
Right.
No, I feel very much like that mother. I feel very much like the mom, and he's like, "Mom, don't make eye contact. You're embarrassing me."
Right. Don't tell me you love me when I'm getting out of the car for school. Don't talk to me.
Oh my God, Mom. That is who I am.
That's us. We're the embarrassing ones, but we're reliable.
Every time she tweets something about him on Twitter, he's like, "Oh my God, Mom."
He's probably like, "Please,
I love
please
you, but
stop."
oh my God, Mom.
And then I always find like some grammar error, and I'm like, just cut it.
Son, look, if you're gonna write a book, do it right.
Right. Don't embarrass your mother.
Don't embarrass your mothers.
God. Spend a lot of time on you.
We put so much energy into you.
So much.
All we want
is the best for you.
Misplaced comma.
Like,
I'm weeping right now.
He's gonna watch the beginning of this and be like, "I'm going to delete all of them." Like, we're gonna be blocked on every social media. It's gonna be amazing.
He's not gonna watch this.
No.
I think he knows better. Well, this time, since we talked a lot about his other stuff last time, Christina wanted to focus more on his short story collections that he has. But what we're really going to focus on today is his newest book, Thigh Gap, which is kind of Cemetery Gates, right? Yes. And we're going to talk to him about that because there's a little bit of a story there too that I think is interesting to share. He so graciously blessed Christina and I with the chance to read #Thigh Gap all the way back in March before it had been picked up by a publisher. At that point, he wasn't even sure anyone would feel comfortable rolling with this book. He thought he might have to self-publish, and he was like, "Can you guys read this for me just so I know whether or not it's even worth it to do that if that's the thing I have to do?" And we were like, "What? Okay.
I'm sorry, you're sending me your grocery list because I'm gonna read it."
What? Well,
then we blurbed it. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, then he let us blurb it, which was also very gracious of him. God bless him. On his dark black little fancy goth heart. But huge shout out to Sadie Hartman, also known as Mother Horror on Instagram. She picked it up and she's running with it, and it's heavy and it's emotional but it's also, in my opinion, it's very important because it's just another one of those books that I can put in there with Eric LaRocca and Maddie Bob Cash, who are taking mental health and they are presenting it in its very real state and not using it as the horror trope that has traditionally been. They're showing the horror that exists in the reality of various mental health challenges, and
it's very unapologetic.
It is, and yet it's very true to Chandler Morrison. So you're still gonna read it. You're still gonna be like, "Fuck you, dude."
Yeah, it's extremely. I don't want to make like a pun because it's about eating disorders, but it is heavy. So we really want to trigger warning this entire episode.
Yes.
If you're not in a safe place, please don't watch this episode. We will see you in the next one. This could be extremely triggering, and I'm like the last one to do trigger warnings because I just don't really believe in them. But this one, even obviously, I do not have like a thin person eating disorder, but even as a fat chick, it was very hard for me to read certain parts. It wasn't triggering in any way for me, but it was very like I had to take a step back a couple times and be like process what I was reading.
Yes.
And I think that that's kind of the genius of it, is that it is kind of going to affect everyone. It doesn't matter if you're like thin or fat or, it's going to affect you. And if it doesn't, then I'm like one of the most heartless cunt canoes on the planet, and it affected me.
Yes. Also, if you struggle with self-injury, and that is something that is difficult for you right now, even though this book does not have any acute self-injurious imagery, we do have to remember that EDs are a part of that process and are considered a part of that process. So, overall, the discussion may be something that could be a little hard for you. So check out at any time or check out right now and come back to us. Also, we want to say this is a book that you need to consider hard before picking up. We want you to read it and we want you to love it. We want you to experience it, but we want you to protect your psyche because it might not be the time for you, and it'll be there when you're ready.
Yep. And
this one's going to be hard.
There are certain books like Danielle Volpe's Left to You that I am not mentally in the right place to read something like that. So I have put it off. And so there's like no shame in waiting.
Cynthia Palaio's Into the Woods and all the way through. I remember I told you about that one.
I can't read it.
You were like, I can't do it. I can't do it. It hits my buttons. That's my line. That's where I have to draw it.
That kidnapping and people spitting in other people's mouths.
Oh, you mean
don't do it.
Creamy twats.
I can't.
Before we get Fancy Boy in here, do you want to talk about some other books you want to shout out this week?
Oh my God, why do you do this to me? Like completely off the rails. I have been reading Ash Eric more because it's #Ash August. Just finished Big Ben and Psycho.
I heard Perfection. Big Ben is amazing.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Hilarious. Give you a hint on what the Big Ben name is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I heard it involves cats and tape.
It does. It involves cats. Yes. It was very funny. And there's like a ton of like clown puns in it, which just tickles my fancy. And then I read Night Night Sandman by Miss Fairmont Montague White.
As did I.
So good. I figured it out about halfway through and I was like, ding, ding, ding. I always handwrite my notes out and like screenshot them for him and send them to him so he can see like my thought process as I read. And so he got to see in like real time in my notes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. So he's one of very few that I do that for. And then Pandemonium by Ryan Harding and Lucas Mangum. Not going to talk too much about it because the next time you see this face, you'll see Mr. Ryan Harding. So I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I will tell you, if you have not read it, you are so fucking missing out. That book alone, 171 tabs.
Wow.
Just one book. So
only mildly excessive.
Only a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a scotch. Just a scotch.
Well, before we see
what about you?
Before we see Christina again,
yes.
I will be talking with Paula Ash with a very special guest host. But next week, I am prepping.
Yes, this was
some
exciting.
Time with Captain Crippy, Dustin Whalen, aka My Dusty Buns, and Mr. Brian Keene. So this week it is my goal to get through Kill Whitey with Teeth and his short story collection, his short fiction, Blood on the Page. Because
so exciting
time. I'm very excited. I'm so stoked. So that will be episode number 3. If you want to read these with me, grab them, try to slam through them this week. Get prepped for what's coming.
Well, you got to think this comes out in like a month and a half. So
I know, but they're not going to hear it until then. So they still only have a week until they hear it.
Well, aren't we doing every 2 weeks?
I don't remember.
Who knows?
I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We don't know what's going on. We're just
that's
here.
Right. It's like every 2 weeks or something. I don't know. Stolen Seed by Tim Eagle.
Yep.
Tim has never let me down, and this is a great it's basically like a trailer park Greek tragedy.
Oh, nice.
I love it. It's great. Andrew Post's Chop Shop.
I've got that one too. Is it good?
It is about black market body part dealers. And if that ain't enough to sell you on this bad boy, it's good. Yeah, totally go with this one.
I got it with that sale that they had.
Oh, yeah. I think he sent this one to me. Thank you, Andrew. But it is definitely, if you are intrigued by the inner drama within the black market body part trade community, Chop Shop will be right up your alley. And I really want to shout out.
Is that not amazing? Oh, that was so much fun.
University, which is okay. So this is from Matt Henshaw, edited by as well our dear John Baltusberger. This is basically the course catalog for Mayfallen University.
Show the inside of
which
it.
Is
it's like an actual course catalog.
It's like a course catalog. Here's Humanities for a university that focuses on eldritch and chaos magic. So it's like the antithesis of Hogwarts, and the humor and the ingenuity and clever imagination in this book, and just the whole package,
like the whole
here.
Yeah.
The novelty,
like the way that it's set up,
and
it's very interesting.
Oh my god, where's prognostics? I love this. The prognostics. Their course description is: we know who you are. We know you're going to join our student body, and that you will take up studies in our program. We know how it will end. We will not tell you. I just love this whole thing. And then there's all these descriptions of the different courses or what you'll learn if you take oh my god. Mayfallen University, Nafallen, Henshaw and Baltusberger. You must.
There's a lot of authors actually like put in on that, like Ben Azrat.
Oh yeah.
So all of the ones, all the like instructors in the back, I think actually put in on it. I think so.
Here.
Matt, please.
Oh yeah.
Please correct me if I'm in wrong.
Matt Henshaw, John Baltisberger, Hazel Raguer, Stephen Brandt, Tom Ackerman, R. Wayne Gray, Lorraine Shine. So many. Joshua Bartolome. A lot of people put in for this one. It was very much a group activity, and it is, there's Ben Arzate, adjunct professor. And the great thing is that the faculty listing of all the people who contributed is just as hilarious and clever as the rest of the book. So yeah, you guys got to get that. If you like the whole Eldritch Chaos Magic thing, you will freaking love that. And then they have the almanacs too, which are even better.
Right?
It's so good. All right, boo boo. Done enough jabbering.
Chit-chatting.
Our boy's gonna be here soon.
Yeah.
Shall we prepare ourselves?
Yeah.
I tried to burp, but it didn't come out
It's
enough.
okay. It's all right. I'll probably, if I don't pass out.
Disappointed all of you. All right, here we go. We'll be back when Chandler shows up. Bye. Welcome back, Chandler Morrison.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
We missed you. I feel like
it feels like it's been a while.
Tell us about the sunglasses. Who are you wearing?
I'm so glad you asked. These are Celine, one of my favorite brands.
What year and style?
They're 2021.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact model.
Well, now I can't look up the sticker price, and I'm just
I started looking because I was curious, and I was like, I wonder how much these kind of sunglasses go for, because like my glasses I got for like $2.50. Like, I'm cheap. They're not cheap.
No, none of the
no.
none of the sunglasses and hashtag thigh gap although there's the Lyft driver who's wearing the ones we got off the gas station rack. So
I think it's important for you to know, Chandler, that my 6-year-old son shoplifts sunglasses from the dollar store.
He's like, what do I say to that?
That's real.
I mean,
he's just getting started. He's got the sunglasses affinity. He sees a pair and he's like, it's mine. I don't got no dollar, but I'm leaving here with these glasses.
as as in a way that's kind of admirable.
Are you ready for some heavy questions?
I am ready.
Right.
Gotta focus, pull it down, get stable. We got some Christina, go ahead.
Well, we want a trigger warning in case you guys passed up the banter part of us. We will be talking about hashtag thigh gap, and it is extremely heavy. And while we will try to be spoiler free, I run my mouth a lot, so God only knows. But yeah, be really, if you're not in a good place mentally, be really careful with this episode.
Go back and listen to the banter, you jerks.
Dickbags. I was like, my cunt canoe was on point today. Let me tell you what.
Slop tarts.
Right? I was perfect today.
Pop-Tarts. I've not heard that before. I like that.
Yes,
Right?
we got that one from Danica Meyerson. Also, our friend Jason Nicky, who is Bibliobeard on TikTok, a very good book reviewer, wanted you to know that he got John Wayne Commonal to sign human-shaped fiends for him this past weekend.
He was very specific about it spelling you.
It was very important. So now you know. Okay. All right.
Do you want to start with thigh gap and just like roll into the short stories later?
Let's
What do
do
we
the
wanna do?
Splatterpunk thing first. We have no system here.
We don't.
Welcome
We're
home.
completely. Yeah. Welcome back.
He's like, oh my God. Go ahead, Christina. Hit him with your short story question.
Okay. So last time we focused more on your novels. This time we're going to kind of focus on Thigh Gap and the short stories. And one of the common themes that I noticed is loneliness is so big as a theme throughout so many different ones. Like Reptile affected me on such a level. There's so many lines in that one. Your pillows reek of the salt excreted from the sweat and tears painfully unwept.
That's
yes. Just chick. I know, like right in the heart. And then this one affected me the most because the better something is, the more awful it's going to be when it's over. And that's all you can focus on.
Well, thanks for that.
It was emotional damage for me with that one. Because
emotional damage.
Right? So my question after, I read pretty much the whole story is it an intentional theme throughout, or is it just what comes out?
I would say intentional. Like hashtag thigh gap is that's the main theme, I think, is loneliness. So like you can see it, and you figure Reptile I wrote, I don't even remember, but it was years ago. And I think a lot of the stories in Just to See Hell focus on loneliness. And it's really, I mean, and even like I think you can see it in my early novels too. I think Dead Inside, like I always tell people, like it's not really about necrophilia.
Right.
It's about this. I think loneliness is a big factor there, and the main character in that is terrified of connection, but like kind of yearning for it in a really visceral way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I suppose I'm preoccupied with and explore a lot. I think it's a universal thing. I think a lot of people experience it, and to varying degrees. So yeah, it's definitely intentional.
I always talk about all the time. I have to do some training things where I have to talk about like empathy and the difference between like emotional empathy and cognitive empathy. And one of the things that I always really try to get people to focus on is the fact that, can you ever really understand another human being? Can you ever really understand someone? Because will you ever actually know who they really are? Because we never let anyone know who we really are inside. We have a person that we project to the other people in our world, which is why I think we end up feeling so lonely as a species, because we feel like we have to be something just to survive. So yes.
Yeah, and I think it's getting worse. I think social media makes it much, I think it exacerbates it. And that's another big theme in hashtag thigh gap is the idea of presenting a certain image that isn't necessarily aligned with what's going on at an interior level. And like I think everybody's kind of presenting this sort of, to varying degrees, facade.
Absolutely.
And it makes like true genuine connection, I think, a lot more difficult than I suppose it was prior to the social media.
Oh, absolutely. with hashtag thigh gap, you and I had some significant like back and forth convo all the way back in March when you so graciously shared it with us. So, you know, it sent my mental health professional brain like spiraling. Also, because you and Christina and I are like literature obsessed nerds. My train of thought was like all over the place, trying to nail down the literary influences and the nods that are in here. I told you when on run that I feel hashtag thigh gap is personally your best one yet. Your best one
without doubt.
Date. There's so many levels here, so many places to go, so many places that you take us. Given the high caliber quality of the book, can you speak to the listeners here a little bit about why you felt unsure about whether or not you would have to self-publish this one? Because all the way back in March, you were like, I might have to put this one out on my own. You want to speak a little bit to that as to why that was a concern?
Yeah, it was, the publisher, and the publisher's been really great. Sadie's been really great, and Sadie Hartman, who runs the line of novellas that it's hashtag thigh gap is a part of, and she is a big fan of my work, and she really liked the book, but she did have some concerns initially about the content, and uh, I think like totally understandable, because it's very there is, I think, this thing that we see in the culture currently where the the body positivity movement has done a lot of really good things, but I think it's skewed kind of in one direction, and it's, while fat shaming is not okay, in the way that it, I think, once was much more acceptable socially. Skinny shaming still is, to a really big degree, and you see, I think you see a lot of that in the culture, and the and so Helen, the main character, and is very fat phobic, because I mean she's anorexic, and what is anorexia, but really extreme version of fat phobia,
Yeah.
and I and she's not really kind of a pleasant character, and has a lot of very judgmental thoughts, and is very classist, and just rather cruel. And so there was some, I think, some concern about how it was going to be received by the public, because it's not, it's still, it's very much kind of a taboo thing. And so I wasn't sure, when I turned it in, I wasn't sure if it was, if the publisher was going to be okay with all of that. So like while I was waiting, I thought, if they don't, because Sadie, figured if Sadie's not going to publish this, I don't think anybody will. So that was kind of my backup plan, was that, if, because I really wanted, I do agree, I think it's my best work to date, and I wanted it to get out there, but I wasn't sure that it would make it through. So that was definitely my plan, if they decided to pass on it, and I would have, if they had decided to do that, I would have faulted them for it. It's very, like I said, it's a very taboo subject, and the initial reception to it has been really like overwhelmingly positive, which has been really cool to see. At some point, I'm certain, like somebody's going to read it and say that I shouldn't be writing about this type of thing, or I shouldn't be writing it about in the capacity that I do, in the way that I do.
It'll
And,
happen.
what?
It'll
Yeah,
happen. It's
whatever.
expected. You know it's coming.
Yeah, I do.
And you just kind of prepare yourself for it. You know, outrage, cancel culture, very chic right now, for lack of better terminology. But forgive me, I'm about to say a lot of words. I did not see glorification of EDs in this story. My experience with this book was quite the opposite. I actually appreciate that Helen is a rather prickly character who is difficult to feel emotional empathy for, because she forces you to use your cognitive empathy. You have to look at her situation from an analytical point of view and be like, based on what I know about this human being, can I understand why I'm seeing the behaviors I'm seeing here? And it really does kind of highlight some of the bigger factors when it comes to disordered behaviors that are fueled by a need for control. And they come across in forms of self-destruction. I've worked with people who deal with these disorders for like 15 years now. And I personally think you did an outstanding job of highlighting the reality of a very, very difficult set of disorders, and how painful and just horrific these self-injurious processes can be. There's nothing sexy about it here. There's nothing admirable about her journey towards her self-actualization. But, you know, it just shows how searching for that sense of control and safety can present itself in a way that looks very unsafe and destructive. Are there people who are going to idolize her? Absolutely. Is that your problem? No. Are there people who are going to be offended? 100%. Is that your problem? No. The book is important.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree with that.
It's a story that needs to be told.
Well, thank you. I'm
doubt.
I'm glad that came through, and that was ultimately, like Sadie's verdict as well. Because like I said, there were initial when I told her what it was about and how I was going about it, she's like, I don't know. But she read it, and that was her take, was that, this is an important story that needs to be read by people, and I'm very grateful for giving it that platform, because I've not self-published since it was the last. I deserve to do it again.
It feels like forever.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that that was that, like, after she read it, that was her verdict, and that Cemetery Gates has been really great to work with, and they've really elevated it in a way that I just have a lot of gratitude for.
So I already asked you this on a one-on-one level when we were kind of going back and forth, but I think that readers and the listeners here would also be really interested in knowing this as well. So eating disorders and other personality disorders that cause self-injurious behaviors are very complicated processes. They're often deeply rooted in significant historical trauma of varying degrees and types. Can you talk about research or prep work you did for #ThigHgap? Because as somebody who personally may not have experienced these things yourself, you actually, Helen's behaviors are practically textbook here, and psychologically and emotionally. Thank you for this. You were able to apply a deeper level of insight here that will feel quite personal to folks who have been on a similar journey themselves. How did you go about doing that? Because that is not easy. And sometimes people will just automatically assume, oh, well, it just must be personal experience. Now, how did you research this? How did you go to this place?
That's a great question. And all of my books are heavily influenced by personal experience, but there is often varying degrees of obfuscation, and there are a lot of layers that I kind of pass my experience through before it gets to the page, and it ends up looking quite different. But the emotional truth of it is something that I like with every book. I'm typically trying to figure something out. It's kind of like an exorcism. There's something personal that I am trying to work through. And that's where I draw from most in terms of how I convey the mood and the emotions that I'm putting on the page. But that said, I did want to see what I wanted to make it kind of as universal of an experience as possible too. While it's very in a lot of ways very personal. There's also like we had talked about one-on-one. I did spend a lot of time on eating disorder Twitter and reading the tweets there, and just kind of trying to see what that look, because it's a very specific kind of place. I mean, if it's not familiar with eating disorder,
It's not an easy place to go, is it?
It's no, and I don't want to sound judgmental
exactly
because I'm not, and I don't want to I think that's the problem. Is I think that particularly in today's culture, it's so easy to look at a sphere like eating disorder Twitter and kind of look down your nose at it as this really just twisted, horrible thing. Like when I think it's much more complex.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I really appreciate how clinically accurate you are regarding Helen's responses to triggering events. When we allow ourselves to explore a world like eating disorder Twitter or the ED boards on Reddit, you find a lot of self-focused aggression towards themselves, but then aggression towards the pieces of themselves that they see in others as well. And we identify reactive agitation and aggression in other humans when we take note of the intensity of that emotional response and the appropriateness of it compared to what the perceived trigger is. Like, is this emotional response, does it feel overreactive compared to the trigger that seems to have caused it? Yes, that's a trauma response, my dudes. So when you're seeing these very jagged, challenging behaviors in these people, what you're not seeing is pain in the ass behavior. You're seeing a pain-based behavior, and that can be heartbreaking. And while you initially want to get angry, like, how dare you think these things? How dare you say these things? That's only happening because of where they're coming from on a personal level. And Helen displays that beautifully and in a way that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to on that personal level. So it's just another reason that I think the book really came together so beautifully. And even though we'll probably face controversy, you may have set the bar a little too high for yourself this time, friend.
Well, thank you. It's very kind. And I'm glad that all comes through, because I do think that, I mean, and that was important to me, and that she's very fat phobic, and she is very classist and
That's what she hates about
judgmental.
herself.
But that's it is all fear-based behavior where she is she's terrified of gaining weight. She is terrified of being poor.
Of
And
living.
so yeah, so this like it's she's and really it's all like because she's constantly talking about wanting to be elevated above the human experience. And so her her reactions to really any kind of human behavior are tend to be very judgmental and cruel. So while she is prickly, like you said, and in a lot of ways unpleasant, like it's like when I look at a character like Helen, like I don't see her as this awful, horrible person. I just she's I think just very sad and lonely.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating because
Damn it.
she's so desperately like she sees that peak of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And she has this vision of self-actualization. She's going to do everything she can to reach the peak. And yet the way she chooses to face that journey is completely paradoxical to how we as on the other side of the situation would look at that like, well, you're not going about this the right way. That doesn't make any sense. And yet to her, it's the only way. It's the only way that makes sense. And so it's just a fascinating contrast between the goal versus the behavior. I'm a psych geek.
This is her episode, man. She's good. I'm just the eye candy today. I'm just here.
You wrote the book. This is your fault, Morrison.
This is all you.
You brought this on yourself.
Right?
Now
this is what
I'm
you get.
aggressive. I'm sorry. Well, Christina. Because this is where Christina is going to jump in here hardcore too. So we've talked about the mental health aspects of this, but can we discuss the Greek mythology, the allusions to 1920s Hollywood decadence? The Greek mythology often features an association with blindness and prophecy. Mr. Sunglasses Man. In Greek mythology, visual sight is exchanged for something far more powerful, kind of like celebrity, influence, financial power, self-actualization. And you can see the soul of other people in their eyes. Mr. I never not wear sunglasses.
Right.
What are you hiding, Chandler Morton? No.
Just read his books. Just read his books.
But you know what? Facial expression and eye contact make up 55% of what we actually process during our verbal communications with one another. Did you know that?
I didn't.
55% is your facial expression and 38% is your tone. Your words mean shit.
Dang.
Except your words.
Well, I mean, and that's a good like the fact that everybody in the book for the most part is wearing sunglasses, and
yes,
and everybody kind of talks in like this kind of flat affect, like and they're all there's not a lot of expression from anybody, and certainly like I'm glad you picked up on the Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, we need to talk more about that.
But I mean, more so, it's like the idea there was to present this feeling of alienation, where she's always wearing sunglasses, so she's not really showing herself, and she's kind of hiding. But so is everybody else, and so she's just never really connecting with anybody. Like even when she's having sex with people, but like they're not taking their sunglasses off,
hiding their true selves behind designer labels.
right? And because everybody is just so overly nonchalant and toneless. I think like there's just the biggest thing that I was going for in it was just this. It was presenting the idea that she is just so incredibly alone and like and she's moving about the city like she's constantly like there's nobody around ever in a way that not realistic to LA. But like what I was going for there was this kind of expressionistic like manifestation of her alienation where like it's not that she imagines that there's nobody around. It's true. Like there's just nobody around, like because she's just so incredibly alone. So like everything in the book is kind of built around that, and to maximize that degree of solitude that I was trying to present.
I remember emailing you right off the bat, being like, "Oh, so you're gonna hit us with some John Milton, some Paradise Lost, right out the gate? Here we go. Hell is other people, Chandler, and she she exists in hell that's full of other people, and yet she can't even break out of the hell that is her own psyche."
And hell is cold too. She's always freezing.
It is. Well, and that's fascinating because that's actually part of the real biophysical experience that happens. Because when the body starts to become malnourished, your circulation decreases. And biophysically, you start to have those cardiac issues, and your circulation is terrible, and you're cold all the time. So there's a lot of like allegory and parallel here. I don't know if you were thinking about it.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, certainly, yeah.
Or it's just like kismet. You were like, "Oh yeah, I am so smart. I'm so fucking smart." Just own it. Just take it and be like, "Oh yeah."
I mean, you the way you make it sound like you'd think I'm like sitting there like jerking off to my own writing.
Oh,
quite how it is, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly intentional. Like she's, there is definitely the biophysical element of anorexia where she is she's extremely malnourished, so of course she's cold. But the idea of hell being cold, was just worked out nicely.
Oh my gosh, heck yeah. And then there was so much other stuff. Hit him with the tabs, Christina.
Oh God, I can't tab because I don't have the physical book yet.
Yeah, but you took like hella notes, my dude.
So instead of like tabbing it, I literally sent him his manuscript back with all of my notes written in it. That's what I did. I was like, I could type all of this out, but I'm just going to send it back to you, and it's color coordinated, and I think everything had different colors.
It's a really neat experience to see, because I'm always very interested in people's interpretations and responses. So even when like it's not like you're calling out things that I wasn't particularly thinking about as I was writing it, it's very interesting to me the things that people pick up on in their own experiences that they kind of describe to it.
So one that I know that I was wrong on, because I was like, I'm a fucking genius, but I was wrong. Was I felt that it was like a Christmas carol or a Christmas story, with the past, the present, and the future, because the past was her as the slug, her in the present, and then the future, her as a corpse. I thought that I was wrong, but I gave it a valiant effort.
I don't believe that there is a wrong interpretation of a book. Like I wasn't thinking about that as I was writing it. I hate Dickens.
So don't worry, so does my husband. He hates him. He's like, if I wanted to read 15 pages about a goddamn doorknob. Yeah, he's not.
He's so verbose. And I recognize his importance, but I just cannot do it. No, the Christmas thing, because it does, like, a large part of it takes place around Christmas time. That was really just, I mean, in twofold. Like, Christmas is generally associated with joy and light and good cheer and all of that fun stuff, and of which there is none in the book. And so I was interested in that kind of like juxtaposition and dichotomy. And two, I think Christmas in LA is just a neat kind of very weird thing in and of itself, because you associate Christmas with, snow and all of that, and like,
Oh yeah.
and so it's kind of, I've personally, I've always found, like, having grown up in very cold climates, like the living here in LA and seeing how like all the Christmas decorations, and it's kind of, it feels like almost like absurd's not the right word, but it's close, because it just doesn't jive with the traditional, like, imagery of Christmas, because you've got all of the Christmas imagery except for, like, the snow, and it's not cold, it's 80 degrees and
palm trees.
Yeah. So I was really kind of I just the mood of that was, I was interested in. So, like, and I've, like, truth be told, I've not read A Christmas, like, I mean, everybody knows the story, so I don't know, maybe, like, could have subconsciously done that thing, but
Consciously, you're a fan.
Honestly, the Muppets did it the best. So if you're gonna go there,
yeah,
just watch the Muppet.
I would
Christmas
definitely.
Carol. It's the best interpretation out there.
Yeah, yeah, would definitely go with that. Like, yeah. But I did. So, like, I tabbed it, but I, like, iPad tabbed it, I guess you could say. But I did count something. I counted 29 references to sunglasses. And those are 29 different designers, I guess. Poor kid here. Don't know any of that stuff. But like I said, and then and I'm probably gonna mispronounce it because, again, poor kid. Cartier, is it Cartier? The lighter?
Yeah.
It's like $1,000 for a lighter.
Yeah.
No thanks. Oh my God. Like, because I even, in the notes that I sent back, I was like, is this even a thing? Like, is this real life? And you were like, yeah. And so I looked it up, and it's like $1,000. Do you know how many books I could buy for $1,000?
I think
it's crazy.
Like
retails for around, I think it's 1,100.
That lighter is my mortgage.
Like, it's both of my car payments, my internet bill. Like, that $1,100 is literally my bills for the month. No way. But I think that speaks to what.
Yes.
And not just Hollywood, like, even military, like, bringing the military into it. I see a lot of wives trying to keep up with the Joneses. And so because of that, like, the wife or the husband has to go out and have another job because they can't afford their lifestyle. And to me, it's things like that. Like, she's not thinking long term. She's thinking now, that obsession, that need for instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because, someone like me, I look at that and I'm like, I would rather get kicked in the vagina with a golf cleat
I
than
would rather
spend
mine
that kind of
coal.
money on something like that. But then there's other people who are like, but that's just something that I would commonly buy, you know? And I think that that's kind of, to me, that's what I kind of took from it, is the more that she bought, the more she lost me. But yet I get it, because of that instant gratification, that trying to keep up with the Joneses and things like that. So to me, that was the biggest thing I got out of it, was like that classism, that the money, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, she's trying to fill a void,
Yeah.
and it's not working.
Yeah.
There's that chapter where she orders a bunch of
Mhm.
like shit ton of stuff early on in the book, and then it comes, and she unpackages it all and is like trying it all on, and she has like a few minutes
Mhm.
of elation,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's just depleted, like she and
It's gone.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and she puts it all away, and she's knowing that like she's probably not even going to wear most of this stuff, and so she's trying to feel better. Like that's really like throughout the book, she's just trying to feel better. Like and it's but her coping mechanisms are becoming increasingly
Mhm.
um they're just not working anymore. So well, yes, I think, and you know, certainly I think most people will read and can't relate to spending tens of thousands of dollars on
Right.
clothes and shoes and sunglasses. But I think people can relate to like trying to make yourself feel better, trying to fill this void
Mhm.
through ways that uh, uh, that don't work. And
Yeah. That's why
Oh,
the
without a
term
doubt.
retail therapy exists.
Oh,
It
without a
doesn't
doubt. I have a
matter
bad
what
day,
social
I go buy
class you live
books.
in.
Yeah. No.
Amazon, here I come. I'm
Right?
getting one of those fucking pink lights.
yeah, but the pink light works. Like that's a gift that, like, that just keeps on giving, because like
Right.
it's hard not to feel better when you're sitting in pink light.
Right.
You know, you made a joke earlier about, oh, you make it sound like I'm jacking off to my own writing. I believe that if you want to sit around and jack off to your own writing, you have every right to do so, sir.
I think that's for any author. Like
I put you like you and Eric LaRocca, Paula Ashe. I don't know if you've had a chance to read anything from Paula Ashe. She's actually a literary professor, and she's coming up behind you and LaRocca with this same sense of just literary just it's hard for me to explain, but a lot of extreme horror is very surreal, absurd. It's very focused on the entertainment and the shock value, where you guys are in this corner of the genre where you're actually making us think, and you're adding an extra level in there for people who do have this love of literature, historical fiction. And it allows us to enjoy that within the genre that we adore so much. And I just really, the fact that you guys can go to this place within a genre that so often gets overlooked as either just gross or fluff, give the same vibe while adding that extra depth. Does that make sense?
It does.
I love
and,
it,
you know,
and I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's very kind.
And you're very young to be doing this, so congratulations on the brain. We love you, Chandler.
It's funny. I think of like I personally identified as an extreme horror author. I got like kind of put there,
Oh
and
yeah.
and I've thought about it, and like leading up to this interview, I was thinking about it because you guys are an extreme horror podcast, and yeah, I never saw myself as an extreme horror author, and I never really saw myself as a horror author, honestly. But
Isn't that interesting?
but uh but I just think there are elements of my work that fans of that genre just really connect with, and I was thinking about that, and like, what is that? Because I mean, hashtag thigh gap is like, it's I think certainly kind of a stretch to put it in the extreme horror label, because there's no violence. There's no, like, I mean when you think extreme horror, you think violence, and you think weird sex stuff. That's, I mean, at least that's what I think when I think extreme horror, is like gore, and usually somebody's getting raped.
Yes.
And like
it's definitely not splatter.
Those are kind of the things that you see in extreme horror, but like really, like, you look deeper, like what is it about? Like, is that really what makes it extreme horror, or is it, are fans of that genre going to it because they want to feel a certain thing?
Yes.
And violence and weird sex stuff tends to, I think, traditionally, scratch that itch. But I also think there are different ways to do it. And I think that reading hashtag thigh gap is I would imagine a similar experience to reading something that's extremely violent. Because while there's no physical violence, I think it's a very emotionally violent. Like,
yeah.
and I mean, based on the character's behavior toward herself, and also just like everybody's so mean to each other in it, like, and in really kind of like nasty, visceral ways.
Yes.
While nobody's getting hacked up or anything, like, it's just the cruelty is, I think, so pervasive and intense. And so that, I think, is, like, while it might not check the traditional boxes of extreme horror, I think extreme horror fans would get the same. I think it scratches that same itch that you get from reading something really gory.
Absolutely. And I look at extreme horror as an umbrella term, an umbrella genre. This is not splatterpunk. Hashtag thigh gap is not bizarro. On that end of the extreme horror continuum is where I'm going to find the Beauregards, the Volpes, the straight up acute, like, splatterpunk, gore, ultra violence. I put you more in like the transgressive, speculative, ideological. It's almost a level of ideological horror, because we're looking at, it's really man's inhumanity to man, and man's inhumanity to one's self. And that's where the real horror comes in. That's why people get uncomfortable. If this book makes you uncomfortable and makes you feel some type of way, it did its job. That's why it's horror, because the world is a horrible place. And it doesn't have the psychological safety net of the absurdity and the surrealism that a splatterpunk has. That's not real. That doesn't happen to that level of extremity. Like, no, this is real. And it might have a lot of literary influence in there that just adds to the overall beauty of it. But that almost makes it more horrible and more horrifying because there is a level of beauty and elegance to it while it is just absolutely emotionally devastating. That is horror. I will step down from my soapbox now.
It's all right. Stay up there. Stay up
That was
there.
a lot of
We're entertained. We're entertained. Have at it.
Preach!
Very well
Right?
said.
And the congregation.
Hey, did you get around to reading The Shocking Miss Pilgrim?
You know, I ordered it. It never came. Like,
Shut
there
up!
was one copy left, and I ordered it, and it just never showed up.
Oh my God. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Frederica Sager Mass, she wrote this book at age 99. It was like this scathing recollection of the sexual exploitation of women and like the bacchanalia of 1920s Hollywood. And it really highlights like hashtag thigh gap. While I was reading it, I was thinking about The Shocking Miss Pilgrim a lot because it really shows how like from 1922 to 2022, that culture has not changed very much over an entire century. Like you really nailed in on the same vibe of what was going, that very like Gatsby-esque mixed with the Greek mythology. And I was like, Chandler, have you read this book? And you tried. I found mine in a used bookstore. But this woman at 100 years old was like, this shit is fucked up.
Well, yeah, I meant like it. I mean, for all of Hollywood's posturing and not even just Hollywood, just the culture in general, like things aren't that different. Like from decade to decade, like I think a lot of the same attitudes are carried over, and while Hollywood in particular will build itself up as this very inclusive and moralistic entity. It's not. Like it is the same kind of just monstrous machine that it was when it first came about. Like it's all driven by money, and it's and the more layers you peel back, like the inclusivity is kind of a sham, and like it's all of it. Like and that's really, like I said, it's not just specific to Hollywood. It's like the surface changes, like the way that people present themselves changes, but like deep down those attitudes aren't really changing.
It's all about what does this person have to offer me and how can I use them as a tool to get my goals and needs met. That's brutal.
Right?
It's brutal. Christina, do you have another question, don't you, before
I
we go to
do.
the ad break?
I do, but I don't know what that was.
Wow.
But I want to point out two quotes in hashtag thigh gap. One of them is, you never realize how fragile you are until you're already in pieces.
Yeah, thanks for that too.
Yeah. And then this one got me. Her body was the knife, her age the salt. I'm old. And that I was like, you know. But yeah, those two are my favorites out there.
Thank you. Yeah, like sometimes like that the first one, like sometimes you just know when you write it, like like that's, again, not to sound like I'm, but like but sometimes you just know, like, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Like,
I told you.
damn, I'm good at this.
Congratulations on the brain.
Right? You put words together well.
So that one in particular, and I've used it with a lot of the promotion. I think, like, in the reviews, like, people kind of latch on to it, and and I think it's just the again, it comes back to the universality of it. Like, well, not everybody can relate to the very specific things that Helen herself is going through. Like, I think we can all relate to, like, you never really know, like, just the what is going to affect you and how susceptible you really are to it until it already has, and until you're kind of like just laid out and like shit. Like,
Yeah.
You're like,
and
well, I did not see that red flag.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like the signs can be there, like
The signs are always there. We just ignore them.
It can be something as simple as a smell that suddenly like hits your nose and you're like, oh, great. Now I'm having a trauma response. That's fantastic. So you're right. A crisis and trauma are completely subjective. You never know what's going to trigger you. And everybody's different and unique. So that concept from that quote is a universal experience that everyone can identify with. I can't wait to see all of the tattoo designs that are going to come along with it, because you know it's coming. You know it's coming, friend. Bo Burnham's inside. Like,
right.
I have plans for Bo Burnham, that quote from that special, because it resonated with me so deeply. People are going to do the same thing with pieces from this book because it takes you into that emotional space where you're like, holy shit. Get out of my head, Chandler Morrison.
Right.
How very dare you make me feel feelings.
Right. I like
kick
being
you so hard.
Right. I pride myself on being an emotionalist cunt canoe, and like quotes like that. That's my phrase, by the way. I'm making it happen this year.
I like.
Thank you.
I highly recommend you don't listen to the beginning of this episode, Chandler Morrison, because the words creamy twat happen way more than you ever wanted to hear.
Word so much. I hate it. It sounds, the T word, I'm not even going to say it because I freaking hate it that much. It sounds like what it would sound like if you threw one against a window and it just comes down the window. That's what it sounds like.
That's a horror. And he had the word creamy to it. I mean,
right? See? Okay, good. We're on the same wavelength.
See, Christina, that's why you and I are such a good team.
You ruin lives, Marian.
We each brought half of that to the table, and we were like, oh yeah, this is the worst thing we can think of.
I hate that word so much. Like, I won't even say it. I don't like it. I hate it. Stupid.
I just totally derailed us. I'm so sorry.
You did. You know.
What's your question? We've been talking at him for a long time. This poor guy.
Yeah, he's like, why did I do this to myself again?
Damn it, I forgot how
I made a huge mistake. Right?
No, really, you guys are great. I'm planning to do very few podcasts because I don't like, but you two were the one that I really wanted to do, because podcasts are so hit or miss, and they're usually miss. And but I really appreciate the depth and that you guys go into, and the thoughtfulness, and just how well prepared you all are. I was like the last one, I was you were so much more prepared than I was.
Well,
so much
I emailed you that Ryan Harding actually reached out to me because of your episode. So
yeah,
that
Ryan's so great.
That was fucking surreal. Like, we chat daily, and I'm like, how the fuck did this happen? Like,
thanks, Chandler Morrison.
It really is. Thanks for my new bestie. It's crazy.
It's me. I bring people together.
You do. Bringing people together.
Making that relationship magic happen.
Right? I feel like anyone who can handle me for more than like a couple conversations just deserves awards because I'm annoying. Like this poor, like taking Ryan, for example, I would read and in real time, I would type responses to all of his stuff. And I've read all of his stuff now. So like one of his books, I was telling Marian, 171 tabs in one book.
Yeah,
Ryan's great. And like one of those authors who does kind of, I feel like, elevate the genre above what it's kind of known.
absolutely.
So here's my question.
Oh
Now
yeah,
that
yeah.
you know, there's question.
I forgot.
I
what
don't
we were
even know what I'm
doing.
doing here half the time. So I just show up Xanaxed and coffee in hand. So I want to chat about the story in the Splatterpunk zine because that is a fascinating one, Chandler. Because I was like, oh, it's Chandler. I'm gonna get this. And then I read it and I was like, where did that come from, Chandler?
What is it called again? Christina, share with us.
It is called She Dotted Her Eyes with Little Hearts. It's pretty much about a dad fucking his daughter.
Chandler Morrison.
I mean, let's apply some context. But she's
I just like to, one line.
She is a zombie. Like so she's a zombie and he's always fantasized about having sex with her, but he waits till after she becomes a zombie to do
The
it.
opening line is I've always wanted to fuck my daughter.
That is it. That is the opening line.
You remember really when I put you in the highbrow extreme horror corner? Take it back.
Well, it's funny because I love how
so good natured
he is. He's like fucking too. It was going so well until this. My favorite part of a lot of your stuff is how meta. You break the fourth wall constantly. I love that about books. So this story, a few years ago, I read a book called Dead Inside by a young author from Hollywood who clearly thought he was some sort of mystical Hemingway and Marquis de Sade.
Oh shit.
And I stopped immediately. And I was like, holy shit. Hemingway and Marquis de Sade. I was like, yes. Isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and while I can't stand the Marquis de Sade. He's got some good quotes and
I'm sorry. Hold on while I take that knife out of my heart. Hold on.
Christina, that's actually the first line of the book.
Shut up. Oh my God.
I mean,
I narked myself out about me sending you that message about being like a genius. I narked myself out.
He has some good lines. Like, I mean, I took one of his lines for the title of Along the Path of Torment.
Yes, she did.
And I appreciate the what it takes to be an author, and like the fact that he was jailed for his writing, I think is kind of neat. But I mean, I don't like he was not a particularly I think good stylist. Like his writing, I think the prose leaves a lot to be desired, and I think he was kind of more overly concerned with getting a reaction than anything. I think that was,
absolutely.
And he was very effective at that. But so in that vein, like it was I think a couple of years ago I was asked to write a story for that zine, and my reputation as a shock jock was kind of at its peak, and I what I was trying to do with that story was like, okay, guys, like, you want to see me doing the shock jock thing? This is me doing the shock jock thing.
Like
this is,
it's meta. It's so meta the whole way
and that's
through.
really what it, like, the whole thing is supposed to be like. The existence of that story itself is kind of like a meta, um like making fun of my own reputation, uh and and there's the lines in it where he keeps saying that, um like, if you're expecting some, I forget exactly what it is, but like, if you're expecting some kind of, like, great truth to be revealed here, or some kind of message, you're gonna be disappointed. And
Yeah.
and then at the end, I think that's how it closes, is he says like, sometimes life's just fucked up. Like, sometimes people are just fucked up. Sometimes there's no great meaning.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about fucking my zombie daughter.
And that's, so
At the very end, it's one fucks his undead daughter again. See, I told you, sometimes there's no payoff. Sometimes things are just fucked up. Sometimes people are just fucked up. And sometimes those things and people are just like you. You see where I'm going with this. I don't think I need to describe it any further. And that's how it ends.
Yeah, so that's I mean, and that's what I was going to like. I don't do that kind of thing with, really. I mean, I haven't done that, like, the kind of thing with, I think, any of my previous books, any of my previous stories. It was just like this, like, you want to see shock jock, here's shock. And and it's, I think, I mean, it's similar to Dead Inside, that it's like, it's just so absurd. Like,
It's hilarious.
Like, I still, like we talked about in the last, I don't know. I to this day, I don't know why people take Dead Inside as seriously as they do. I don't know how you can read that book and not laugh at just how
Catch the satire.
ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And that's the, that's that story. Like, I'm, like, while I'm kind of doing the shock track thing, I'm also kind of making fun of it. And, like, it's just so over the top. Like, I don't, and I mean, from the very first line, it's like, like, I was kind of just saying that, like, this is what kind of story this is gonna be.
I'm warning you now.
Isn't it funny the way everyone's brains interpret things differently? I just find that so fascinating. That one person can look at it and see the layers and go in there, and then the other person is so concrete and black and white. They're like, well, all I see is this thing. And it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, and I
God bless you.
I don't know
put yourselves out into this space.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what I expected from, like, the I mean, the readership that story had, as far as like, at least from what I heard and like what I saw on social media. Like, I don't know that anybody really got it. Like, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like, Chandler's outdone himself. This is so disgusting. I love it. I'm like, hey, I'm glad they enjoyed it.
Dude, at least one person says the name of that book every day on TikTok. Still, at least one person is mentioning that book every day. I guarantee it.
It's true. Yeah. But I mean about the story, the she dotted her eyes with little hearts. Like, when that story came, like, I don't know that anybody got that. People, it's not like Dead Inside, I think. I mean, there's all kinds of different reactions to that. Some people kind of see it for how I imagine it, and some people don't. Not that one is right or wrong. Like I said, I don't know that there's a wrong interpretation, but she dotted her eyes with little hearts. Like, I was really kind of in the same vein as Dead Inside, like, satirizing the genre itself. But I don't know that really came through. I don't know that, like, I could, be my own, like, maybe I botched it. I don't know. I don't do that. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. But it was certainly intended to just be, kind of like this goofy.
I'll send yours, Marian. I completely forgot until like today.
Thank you. Well,
I'm forgetful.
Speaking of goofy, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to get into the new season 2 Rapid Fire 4. So enough of the smart questions. Prepare yourself, Chandler, because here comes the dumb. All right, hold on one.
Hey kids, looking for a way to affordably access the best and wildest independent extreme horror currently in existence? Godless Horrors is the place to be. Go to www.godless.com to gain access to thousands of extreme horror and splatterpunk books from the genre's best and brightest independent authors. Godless Horrors offers every title in their catalog in a variety of formats to ensure compatibility with your favorite digital reading device. Strapped for cash? No worries. Godless has a fantastic collection of free titles ready for instant download, with other titles in their collection rarely exceeding $3 to $4. Again, go to www.godless.com or download the app and tell them what the fuck you're looking for. Come join the Godless tribe today. Forever delightfully deviant. Forever godless.
All right, we're back. Okay. All right. Here we go. It's the new rapid fire for God help you. This is so stupid.
Well, no. This isn't high. This is not a highbrow podcast. I feel like,
I disagree with that. I think you ask some very highbrow questions, which I really appreciate.
Thank you. We are classy.
Oh, I would not use that word with me, at least.
So classy. Squish
right?
Mountain.
I got Squidward. Anyway, first question. If someone were to write a memoir about you, what would the title be?
Designer Sadness.
Designer Sadness. Did you
very quick?
Did you just make that up right now, or have you been sitting on that?
I wish I'd made that up. There's a song called Designer Sadness that I like a lot, that kind of speaks to my soul.
I really appreciate it that you just own that emo side of yourself, Chandler.
At heart, I am like deep down, I'm Lana Stan, sad girl, Sylvia Plath, that whole thing. Like it's who I really am.
One of us.
Right.
One of us. So, Chandler Morrison.
Oh, God, this question. Just ridiculous.
I'm going to take you on a journey here. So, if I was going to sit you down and I put an explosive collar around your neck, like Battle Royale style, and I told you you had 30 minutes to write a book for me and Christina's kids, or the collar would explode and your head would blow up, what would that children's book be called, and what would it be about?
First off, nobody likes kids, so
I have too many. I just keep making them.
Don't. Oh man, title was because I get it would probably be about shopping.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it would be, probably about me going shopping.
Is it called Chandler Goes Shopping for Sunglasses? Chandler buys sunglasses.
I would be like, Chandler's Rodeo Drive Adventure.
There you go. There you go.
Chandler's Big Day Out.
There we go. Yeah, sure.
Right? Just when
love it.
Chandler like tells us we're highbrow, we have these questions.
Chandler's Rodeo Drive Adventure. I love it.
That's now we're gonna come back a little bit
This
here.
one I think is gonna be hard for you. Maybe I'm overstepping, but
Which of your characters is your least favorite and why?
Ooh, that is hard because I really kind of love all of them in a really weird, incestuous way.
which is so funny because none of them are really likable, are they?
They're really not. I don't know that
Thinking of you, Ty.
Yep. Oh God, that book. Ah.
because so so true story, Donald Ray Pollock wrote, I don't know if you guys have read his work, but he wrote like The Devil All the Time.
Uh-huh.
After he read Dead Inside, and he blurbed it, and like we were having coffee one day, and I asked him, it's like, so if you had to give me any advice, what would it be? And he said, like, well, your prose is spot on. Like, you're good there. Like, you don't need my advice with it, which was very humbling. But he said, but for God's sake, man, like, put a likable character in there. Like people want somebody that they how did he put it? So he said something like that they can like sit down and break bread with. And so when I wrote Hate to Feel, I put Grace Peachtree, and she's just, and she's based on actually the woman who at least loosely based on the woman who edited my first few books, and I adore her. But I made that character like just so kind of kind and lovely and just not at all odd. I was trying to just make her like I was trying to do what Don told me to do, and by putting this likable character in there, and I and it just like looking back, like I know why Don told me to do that, and but obviously ever since then I have eschewed that advice and not really done that, because nobody like is like, and I would even kind of challenge to a degree the idea that none of them are at all likable. I think they are likable in non-traditional ways.
I just really appreciate that you are the character you most dislike is the one you identify as the only likable character you've ever included
Well,
in a book.
it's just, and the reason for that is because like it's not really real, you know, like because people aren't like when, if you examine anybody closely enough, they're certain, and certainly like their inner machinations and like their most closely guarded thoughts, like very does anybody really pass that litmus test of being traditional, like from the perspective of somebody who wants like when consuming content, like they want that, you know, kind of aspirational, like it's not real. I don't think that kind of person really exists. And like I said, the woman whom Grace Peachtree is based on, I adore her, and she is a very, you know, sweet, wonderful woman. But the character of Grace Peachtree is just so like saintly in a way that nobody is. And I and she's not even really a major character. Like she's not in it a lot. And I did that on purpose because like I could not write about this person like for
Just can't write people like that.
maybe that's my own biases and neuroses. I don't know, but that was something that I was very consciously doing based on Don's advice, and which, like I said, still tons of respect for Don, but that just is not. It's just not how I write, and I don't think, and I think it's gotten to a point. I think people, I don't think they go to my work wanting likable characters. Like if you're still picking up my books at this point, like you kind of know, like nobody's going to be traditionally like aspirational. Like they're kind of all going to be varying degrees of not so great.
Right.
That's par for the course at this
But I
Right.
think that's what makes them interesting. Like, I mean, and it's really like when I read a book or I watch a movie or a TV show, anything, like that's what I want. Like, I don't like the characters who are, just saintly like that, or and that's, I'm gonna piss some people off here, but like that's my biggest problem with Stephen King is, which I, huge respect for Stephen King. He was a huge part of my reading growing up, but his characters tend to be very black and white, where you've got the good guy who is oftentimes like you're kind of like working class, just regular Joe who is very morally upright, and then you've got the bad guy who is like this kind of sneering villain, and that's not. I just don't respond to that. Like Succession is one of my favorite TV shows, and nobody in that is aspirational. Like one of the things I like most about that show is there's one character, Greg. He's like this young guy, and he is the one kind of like moral center at the beginning of the show, and increasingly throughout the series he becomes more and more corrupted, and to the point that like, and because he was that one kind of like beacon of like hope that there's somebody's gonna avoid being this like complete and utter douchebag, and he just becomes worse and worse and worse, and that's like I don't know, I like that. I think it makes it interesting, and so because those are the types of characters I like to see in media. That's those are the kinds of characters I like to write.
Good answer.
I'm sorry, a very long answer.
That's all right.
A good answer.
Right. We'll wait for the good ones.
Now answer this one.
Oh, we're back.
If you suddenly came across an angry Michael Myers in the middle of the wilderness, what would you default to? Fight, flight, or freeze?
I would definitely freeze. Like
no sense of self-preservation.
Yeah.
I can't fight. I can't fight at all. I cannot take a punch to save my life. I go down after one, and that's it. I am on the floor. Really just
Appreciate
any
your
sort of
honesty.
strike. Like I've been slapped before and I fall down. I don't like I'm just my sense of gravity is not great. So yeah, so like so fighting's not my thing. And running also not my thing.
Yeah, I don't do the
Um
running.
I
Guilty. Guilty.
cannot cannot uh cannot do it. I have, various traumatic experiences around running. I apparently look really silly when I run.
Oh,
And
bless.
so, so I just don't do it. Like, um, you know, I the last time I ran, and this has happened like, growing up, like as a kid, like I know people would be like, what are you doing? Are you flailing your arm?
Is he having a seizure?
Yeah. So like, the last time I ran, like, because it had been years, right? Like I'd not run in years. My I was I went to coffee with my girlfriend at the time, um and we parked the car, and I always I was gonna pay for the parking. The meter was like um on the other side of the parking lot, and she wanted to pay for parking for whatever reason. I was like, I'm not gonna let you pay for parking. So like she started to like move quickly toward the meter, so I ran so like I could get to the meter before her and to pay for it. So I just didn't. So um and she like stopped, and like I paid for parking. I turned around and she's like, yards away, like just kind of looking at me. She's like, what the fuck was that?
Now I need to see it. Like you can't set it up this way and then not provide visual.
No, it's not like, and that was several years ago. So like, not
I
I've
never
not run
ran again.
not run since. I also, I wear cowboy boots always, and those are not really conducive to running. So that doesn't make it any easier. Like,
I feel like it's an excuse. You're like, I can't run. I'm wearing cowboy
Right?
boots.
That's smart. That's planning ahead.
well, it's I don't know. It not that I can run without them, but it certainly doesn't make it any easier.
Oh, excellent.
So again, that's a long way of saying like Michael Myers in the woods. Like, guess he's just gonna have to kill me because I can't.
I'm wearing cowboy boots,
and I will die before I, willingly embarrass myself. So
this is valid. This is valid.
Because like I could probably outrun him, but he would be like just so baffled, like he wouldn't even chase me. He'd be like, "What the hell?" And then he'd like, go and tell, I don't know who are the other ones, Jason and Freddie and all of them, like, went to kill Chandler Morrison today, and you guys would not believe what that dude looks like when he runs.
You might want to choose flight, because what you're saying is he would be so baffled and so confused that most likely he would just turn and walk away.
Probably, but then I'd have to live with the fact of knowing that like
they're talking shit about
Michael
you. That he's going out and
they're
talking shit about
me. Yeah, I can't handle that. I cannot.
I want to go on record as saying no one will ever have a better answer for this. Ever. This is like, might as well find another question, because that is, we're done. Dunzo.
I'm actually crying.
I just, like, I feel that answer on an emotional level, because I'm the same. I've never been punched because I'm a fucking wuss bag. And look,
I'm a wuss bag
okay,
too,
like,
but people like to hit me, so like it's it's not fun. Like, but the nice thing about like is usually like they kind of stop after you fall over. So
right, it's like a bear. It's like, did I kill him?
Yeah.
Did I kill Chandler Morrison? And I am not running. I'm sorry. I'm fat. I'm not gonna run. It's just not gonna happen. So yeah, kill me. Kill me. And then my kids are gonna like Ouija board me back. So that's how my death would go. I would be Ouija boarded back in. Like, God damn it. All I want to do is go to hell. Leave me the fuck alone.
I just want to get some rest.
I want to be in the fires of hell. Leave me alone for a little while. Have your father get you something to eat. Leave me be.
Chandler, if people want to contact you, where's the best place for them to find you? I'm still crying. I'm sorry.
I know. This is great.
Twitter and Instagram. I'm very active on Twitter and on Instagram. Twitter, my username is Mecha Chandler, and then Instagram it's Chandler.Morrison.
Boom, boom. I don't do the Twitters, but Christina is there with him on the Twitters, and I follow him on the Instagrams, and sometimes he'll pop up in our stories, because Mothers of Mayhem actually has an Instagram now, which I had like not been doing, because for some reason my stupid brain didn't think about it. Oh, but we do have a Facebook group. He doesn't do Facebook, so... But come join us on the Mothers of Mayhem official Facebook group. You can find links to the Mom merch store, the ultimate fan community reading soundtrack playlists on YouTube and Spotify, which are constantly being updated. But also, there is the exclusive Spotify Mothers of Mayhem playlist Into the Chandler'S, which is a Chandler Morrison playlist featuring Christina and I went through these goddamn books, including #Thigh Gap, and pulled out every single musical reference, including street names. I caught all your Nick Cave references. I caught every single Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, my friend. Every musical reference he has ever put in a book or a story. I slammed it onto this playlist. I was so fucking proud of myself.
It is a great playlist. I highly recommend.
I'm glad you like it. Our community group provides exclusive information, content, giveaway opportunities, plus so much more. As always, you can send your questions, comments, pictures of dildos for Christina, and memes of my personal mortal enemy, Zach Baggins. Fuck that guy. Have you ever met Zach Baggins in real life?
I don't know who Zach Baggins is.
Okay, he's the host of Ghost Adventures, and he's awful. So if you ever do see him, don't you get punched in the face, but do him a favor and punch him in the face for me, and I will forever be grateful.
I don't know. Have you ever punched somebody in the face? Like, that shit hurts. It's like they make it look really easy.
It's all about how you go in. You have to go straight in.
Yeah.
And you got to wear big rings, Chandler.
Like, he's like, no, I'm not doing it.
I don't know.
He's like,
I think I've punched like one person.
Believe it or not, I'm a professional de-escalator and crisis negotiator. But I love to punch.
I like to threaten.
Real story.
Like, I threaten.
Registered nurse, crisis negotiator. If you are listening rather than watching on the YouTubes, visit our Anchor homepage, leave us a voice message, and you might be surprised to hear your own voice bleeding at you through your favorite podcast streaming platform in an upcoming episode. That content is an exclusive bonus only found on our uploads to pod streaming platforms. It was a lot of fun last season. Finally, thank you once more to singer-songwriter Amigo the Devil for allowing us to use his song Hungover in Jonestown as our theme. We love you, Danny. Until next time, go raise some hell, children.
Make your weird book mummies proud.
Yeah! Chandler Morrison, you're such a good sport. I can't believe you came back here a second time knowing exactly what kind of bullshit you were in for. We love you, man.
Thank you.
Life is a joke. Death is the punchline. Oh, la, 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 la,